the 20-somethings podcast.
Hi.
How you doing, Hasmik?
Looking not great.
What happened?
I'm being attacked. Would you like to share why?
Oh, I was just bullying her a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's fun. That's what friends are for.
I guess so.
Okay. Well, before we get into like the highs and lows, let's talk about our drink that we have today.
Yeah. We got hot chocolate today.
Yeah.
Because it's freezing cold outside.
Yeah. Texas is so bipolar, and today, or this morning when I went to work, it was 32 degrees. And when we went out for hot chocolate, it was like 34. But in the very early morning, it's like 27, 28, 29, I think, today and tomorrow. And so it was just like hot chocolate weather. And there's this place called Cinnaholic, and they have vegan cinnamon rolls and other desserts. And so we got a cinnamon roll, banana bread, and a brownie, and hot chocolate.
Yeah.
And it really hit the spot.
Mm-hmm.
So let's cheers with our hot chocolate.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Mine is not hot at all anymore. The
You
microwave.
didn't microwave it enough.
I guess I didn't. I was afraid
Yeah.
I'd burn it.
Oh, yeah? Like you almost started a fire with your s'mores?
Yeah.
Yeah.
R.I.P.
I don't know if I told you, but freshman year, there's a ramen thing from Trader Joe's, and I put it in the microwave in the container that it was in, but you're supposed to, it's a type of ramen that you pour boiling hot water in, and you leave it for like 5 minutes, and then it's just ready. But I was feeling lazy, and so I filled it up with room temp water and put it in the microwave, and the top, I thought it was plastic, but I guess it was plastic mixed with other things, the material of the lid, and so when I put it in, after like 20 seconds, a little fire started. And,
oh no!
And my roommates were there, and my roommates, by the way, they weren't, I mean, I was like friendly with them, but we weren't like close friends, and so I almost burned the apartment down. And so I think I took like a wet paper towel and I just threw it over the microwave.
That's funny.
And I took the fire out, and then I was like, alright, I guess being lazy.
No fire extinguisher needed.
No, thank God. And the smoke alarm didn't go off, but
Can't be our apartment.
oh my God, it is so sensitive.
That's so crazy. I can just imagine you throwing a wet paper towel at the microwave. Well, speaking of freshman year,
Yeah.
let me just say that college was not like the movies, and I learned that freshman year.
Yeah.
And I feel like you can say the same.
Yeah.
What are some things you've seen in movies that like were very college-esque and you were expected?
Well, just I feel like in movies they say, oh, that won't pass in college. Like, if you do this in class, if you don't show up, if you don't do this homework, or if you say something weird, a professor's going to yell at you or whatever. And I'm sure some do, but I feel like for the most part, for the professors I've had, it's been very chill, and you can get away with a lot of stuff.
Yeah, no.
And especially in, like, email replies, when you're in high school, I think, at least for me, they made us, like, write professional type emails to send to professors to, like, know how to talk in an academic tone. But most professors respond with just like, okay, or cool, sounds good. And it's like you send them a whole essay and they just send you back a word or two words. Yeah. And so it's much more chill than I was expecting in terms of that. But freshman year was the year we met, and it was actually like the summer before freshman year.
Yeah.
And we had this thing called the NSC?
NSC?
Yeah. And so that's kind of when you come to campus and explore, and they give you a tour and whatnot, and they put us into these groups. And that was super awkward, because I already have like social anxiety and being put into groups. And I came with my dad, but the kids and the parents got split up, which I didn't know about till the day of, and I was so upset. Because I was like, I have no friends, and the only person I came with, he's doing his own thing, and like I couldn't text anybody because no one, like I was the only one of my friends who was going to A&M. And we were in the room, And I remember just whenever I am like socially anxious, I kind of feel like I'm isolated and I feel like everyone's looking at me and I can't really speak to other people. It's a very, very weird feeling. But anyway, we were playing this game and I didn't know what the game is called.
I think it was some like song game or something.
Like I think I've played it, or I've heard of the version of that game, but A&M has their own version of that game.
Oh.
It was like, do you remember the game I'm talking about?
I only remember like us naming songs.
The one that I remember that we did is they named a pose or something, and you had to group with like 2, 3, 4 people and do that pose. Like one of them was like the century tree, and like 2 people had to get up, and one person was on the floor, and there was one that was.
We played that game?
Yes, I did.
I don't remember
and we
that.
were together. We would like walk around, or like everyone in the room would walk around, and then someone would yell blah blah blah, and then you'd group up into how many of your people, and the people who were left out, like who didn't get into like, let's say if it was like a pose that was with 3 people, and there was a group of 2 people who didn't end up in another group, they were kicked out, and so the groups just kept getting smaller and smaller, and I think we were one of the last like groups to play.
Oh really?
Yeah, you don't remember that?
No,
that's crazy. That's my first memory of you. Wait, how do you remember?
I remember that we were in the same group, but like we had played a game involving like some songs or something, and we listed. Oh yeah, like the girl who was organizing it, like played out a bunch of songs that were like for 2 seconds or something, and we as a group had to like talk about what song was playing, like guess the song basically, and like you would get a point if you guess like the artist, or get a point if you guess the title.
I remember that game, but I don't remember being in your group.
We were sitting on very opposite ends, I think.
Okay.
Because I was on the very like last, and you were on the other side. But
okay.
I saw your face.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember that. I don't think we did very well.
No, there was a lot of countries.
Yeah.
And I don't know a lot of country.
Yeah. And so anyway, after that, so how the day at the NSC, or no, there's 2 days at the NSC, but how it was split up is like, you got a little note card that said, during this time you're doing this, during this time you go here, whatever. And so after this game group thing, it was lunchtime, and the students and the parents could not have lunch together, and so I was getting nervous because I was like, I'm already here, I already don't know anybody, and I thought I was going to have lunch with my dad, but I can't. And so I was like, wow, I'm going to be one of those sad kids eating alone. And so we walk out of the room, and Hasmik is walking alone in front of me, and I am never the one to go out of my way to like say hi to someone that I don't know, because that's just not me. But I was like, you know what? It's college. I need to man up and, you know, say hi to someone. I need to make a friend. I need to have someone to sit next to. And so I don't even know how I introduced myself. I think I just said, hey, did you, like, I don't know what your plans are
like,
for
yeah,
lunch.
like,
can I sit with you?
Yeah, like, can we sit together and hang out for lunch? And I was like, yeah, sure. New friend.
Yeah.
But the reason I didn't go up to anybody is because I had a friend going into it, and so I think I was like texting her because I was like, hey, are you done? I'm done. Are you going there yet? And then Nicole suddenly was like, hey, can we like hang out for lunch? And I was like, you know what, sure. Like, I wouldn't say no. And then I think from that point we just started talking, introduced ourselves, and then and I don't know, because I was like, do you know where you're going? Because I don't know where I'm going. And I was like, oh, I think we just follow this big group that's all going to the same place for lunch, and it was at the Commons.
Yeah.
And then from there we met, well, my friend at the time. You know what I mean, right?
We actually live with this girl now.
We live with her.
She's our 3rd roommate.
But like, Nicole didn't know her.
Yeah, I did not know her. Yes.
At that time.
And and she was not expecting a stranger to go sit with you guys.
But I just remember the 3 of us. It was really awkward. There was a lot of silent moments, but you know.
Yeah, but it was better than sitting alone.
But yeah.
And you know, you're welcome for starting our friendship.
Yeah, I think.
Because if I didn't say anything, we would never have met.
Yeah.
And I kind of didn't like expect us to turn into friends from that one interaction, but we talked about like where we were from, what cities, and you and the other girl were from Austin.
Yeah.
And I'm from Houston, and I was going on a little, I think it was summer. Yeah, it was summertime. A summer trip with my mom to Austin for a few days. And so I grabbed their numbers, and whenever that trip was about to happen, I texted them like, "Hey, my mom and I are coming. I was wondering what things you can recommend us to do and stuff like that." And that was like the first time I think we talked after we initially met.
And I was really surprised that you sent that text, because I also thought like, oh, we're never going to speak to this girl ever again. And I remember pulling this friend aside, and I was like, I can't believe she texted us, oh my god. And she was also really surprised too. But yeah, I think like from the moment we met and then when you sent that text, that like I think that really confirmed that, you know, we might stay in touch.
Yeah. And our living situations were all, I mean, you and the other girl were living in dorms, and I was living in an off-campus apartment, but it was close enough to campus that I could walk. I mean, I had a car, but I just didn't want to pay for a parking pass.
Yeah.
But I lived in a very interesting apartment complex, and I had 3 other roommates. I was not friends with them, but they were friends with each other, so that was an interesting dynamic. But you guys came over a lot because being in a dorm, well, you can talk about being in a dorm.
Yeah, being in a dorm, I mean, it was nice. I liked my experience in a dorm, but it's very small.
Yeah, yours was a lot smaller.
Mine was a lot smaller, like, it would probably reach my hand out and touch my roommate. It was that small.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it was a very small, and, I don't know, Nicole's apartment seemed like just, like, the cool place to go to.
Yeah, it was a very much party apartment. Speaking in terms of like my roommates and just the area in general was right next to all the bars that are in town. And so that was convenient just like walking wise. But there was a lot of noise, there were a lot of weird situations. There was one time where my roommates invited some people over who are our neighbors, which I did not know very well, but they were there almost every weekend. And I don't think you guys were over. But my window from my room, you could see the balcony. Mm-hmm. And this guy, we lived on the second floor, by the way, and our apartment looked onto like the courtyard of the first floor. Mm-hmm. So it was like kind of a circular situation, and so anyone who was like around, anyone who had those apartments, they could look on their balcony and they could see our balcony. I don't know, that was a horrible explanation, but I'm saying if someone was on their balcony, they could have seen what was going on. And this guy basically decided to pee on our balcony, and I just about lost my mind because he was acting absolutely obnoxious, and it was really late at night, and people were like pounding on my door, like wanting me to join them, and I just wanted to go to sleep, man, and this guy was peeing on the balcony, and I was texting you guys about this. I'm pretty sure, because I was just like, what the heck is happening? And I think after he peed, he threw up, and then I just don't even know.
I feel like, I don't know, but like either the next day or a couple of days after that, I think we were there, and I don't know, one of us decided to open the balcony door to see the aftermath.
Yeah.
I remember it looked weird, but I don't know if that was before or after.
I don't know, but that's just like a mild instance of like what happened.
Oh yeah, that's very mild.
And there was one time during Halloween where the same group of people who were over, there was this one guy who had seen you and me and our other friend so many times, he could never remember our names for the life of us. He didn't even know half the time that I lived there. He was just there. And he'd be like, oh, hey, who are you? And I'm like, oh, I live here. And he'd be like, oh, for real? Like, yes, for real. You've seen me about 50 million times. And
was it Howdy?
Yeah. We called him Howdy because that's the first word he always said to us. And we also didn't know his actual name for the longest time because he never said it. And he was always in a freaking A&M shirt. He had no other clothes,
and
apparently.
the cowboy boots.
Yeah. And so anyway, Halloween freshman year, we were sitting in my room, and we were just doing our own thing. they were having their own party outside in the living room, whatever. Freshman year, I spent so much of my time just in my room, by the way. And I'll get to that in a second of how, like, isolated that was. But he walked up to the door and didn't say anything. And I opened the door, and all three of us were sitting on the floor. And he was dressed up in a full-on gas mask and a whole suit that looked like he was from some kind of war. I don't even know what was going on. And he just stared at us. And I was like, hey, all right, bye. And I just kind of shut the door on his face. And so that was very interesting as well.
Oh, yeah.
But I wanted to ask you, so in your dorm, did you ever feel like you didn't get, like, your own privacy? Or were there ever days that you just really wanted to be alone, but, like, you couldn't go anywhere?
I mean, yeah, I feel like, especially, like, there was times where I did feel like that, especially when I was, like, really sad, and I did not want my roommate to look at me, just because I was embarrassed of how sad I was. Yeah, but I don't know. I didn't really do anything about it. I just, like, kind of just cuddled in bed, put my sheets over my head, and that was the amount of privacy I got. But, like, my roommate was so, like, she's so nice. She was so chill. She had, like, no judgment of what I was doing or how sad I felt. So, like, I really didn't mind it, honestly. It would have been another thing if she, like...
If she was a bad roommate?
Yeah, if she was a bad roommate. But she was literally the best roommate ever.
No, that's good.
Yeah. Like, most people say, like, oh, your freshman year, your roommates are going to be the worst. And I guess in some cases, that can be true, but I was really lucky, and I had a really good roommate. And we still talk from time to time.
That's really good.
So
what do you think did you learn anything about yourself living in a dorm?
I don't know.
Just, like, versus not living in a dorm.
I think I learned more living in an apartment than living in a dorm.
What did you learn living in an apartment?
Well, I applied a lot of, like, what I've grown up with, like, house rules and stuff from my own house to my apartment, and you can't really do that in a dorm in a certain way. But I applied it here, and I, like, realized how much I kind of, like, act like my mom in an apartment. And there's some things, like, I always hold back because I'm like, that sounds like my mom. I mean, like, that's not a bad thing, but, like, you know, I don't know. Like, my mom had this thing where there could be no shoes in the apartment at all, or in her house at all. And, like...
So where would you put them?
Well, like, right by the front door.
Oh.
Like, you have to immediately take them off. And you always have to wear slippers in the apartment, too. Like, no matter what.
Yeah, my grandma does that, too.
Yeah, and so, I don't know. I tried applying that, but I guess we all kind of just do things differently. And I was like, you know what? I really don't care. As long as it's not in my room, I guess. But, like, no one ever... We don't all hang out in each other's rooms. We all have our own living rooms. So. Yeah,
which is so funny because in freshman year, whenever you would come over to my place, we'd only hang out in my room. Like 90% of the time, we'd spend in my room. And even though it was like a small space, we made the most out of it. And the several times that you guys slept over, we would sleep all on my bed, like sausages. Beep, beep, beep.
Yeah, I remember
and that was really funny.
That was funny. That was literally like our first sleepover.
Yeah.
We're like, okay, let's get really close to each other now.
Yeah. And then whenever those sleepovers would happen, we'd spend literally the majority of the weekend, like over 24 hours definitely, like together. We would, you know, hang out at night, go to bed at like a late time, wake up, have breakfast together, study together. And you guys would only go back like in the evening or whenever you guys wanted to go back to your dorms. But because we each lived, you know, separate from each other, and we were all like I feel like our main friends at the time. And so when we hung out, it was really fun. Yeah. Because otherwise, I feel like at least I was pretty lonely. Like I would say freshman year, I felt the loneliest. out of all of my years of college.
Damn.
So
I'm sorry.
But I am grateful to be living with you guys now.
Yeah, me too.
And I feel like everyone, you know, has a kind of their own bad experiences in college. And
Yeah.
So I think it's normal to have some bad experiences.
Yeah, or else you're not really learning anything.
Yeah. Like, I don't regret that first year. It was very much kind of like the college experience.
Mm-hmm.
Just witnessing things and not living with people you know.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that's something that you read about in the movies, and what I experienced and, like, the parties I went to.
Yeah.
And
I will say the parties in that era, they were very much like college parties from the movies, I think.
Yeah. Because just, like, crazy stuff happened. You didn't know who would walk through the door.
Yeah.
And it was fun. But now I feel like I'm a grandma, and, I'm like, wow, I did that? That's crazy.
Yeah. No.
I don't have the energy to do that anymore.
Yeah, I think freshman year was my craziest year.
No, yeah, me too.
Funny.
And then sophomore year, we did live with each other.
Yeah.
So we also had another roommate.
Mm-hmm.
We lived in a different apartment complex than we do currently. And we're actually living here again. We're living here again next year, which is really fun because moving sucks. I hate moving.
It does suck.
And you guys in dorms didn't have to, move as much stuff.
No, because we had
So you guys were pretty lucky in terms of that. But I had so much stuff, and so I had to move from Houston to College Station freshman year, and then the stupid thing about college leases, which I will never understand, is why they end 2 to 3 weeks before the new lease starts. So for 2 to 3 weeks, you have to move all your stuff somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And for people who don't live in the same town, it's like, what are you supposed to do with all that stuff? I can't just take it all back with me because I have the majority of my stuff with me, of my personal belongings that I've had in my life. I have most of it here.
Mm-hmm.
Also because, especially in the past year, because my mom moved to Florida, and so most of my stuff that was at her apartment in Houston is with me now. And so now I have even more stuff. And so getting a storage space is just really annoying,
Mm-hmm.
and just moving is tiring. And so now that we don't have to do that this year, it's really great.
Yeah. And it's a 3-bedroom apartment.
Yeah. A 3-bedroom apartment is just us. We're all friends. Yes, we do get on each other's nerves, but I feel like we're pretty good at knowing when to not press each other's buttons.
Or
They can be pressed sometimes, but
we're good at talking about it.
yeah, communication is very important
Yeah.
in any type of relationship.
But sophomore year,
Mm-hmm.
I was really excited to live with y'all, I think.
Yeah, because it was also your first time living in an apartment.
Yeah. And that was crazy. I was really shocked for some reason. I was like, wow, I get my own kitchen and a living room.
Did that make you feel like a real adult?
Yeah, it did. Yeah, because dang, I have to cook stuff now. I can't just go to the dining hall.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, that's another thing I learned about myself is that I don't like to cook.
I was about to call you out and be like, yeah, because we did so much cooking. You did so much cooking.
Yeah.
The most that we cooked last year and this year is for parties.
Yeah, for parties.
Specifically Friendsgiving.
Yeah, no, you're right. No, because we had freshman year we were just talking about, oh yeah, we can make this and make that.
We had such ambitions.
Yeah.
I bought my 2 cookbooks, which we still have not used.
Yeah.
But
We're doing better now.
yeah, we definitely are.
We yeah. But anyway, yeah. Sophomore year, I just...
And you got to, create your own room and design it how you wanted
Yeah,
to.
oh my god, that was exciting. Definitely was a really ugly room to design though. I don't know why. I didn't know what to do with any of the walls.
Yeah, and the way that your windows looked out to the hallway,
Oh,
people could walk by.
My god, yeah.
I would have really.
I had the
liked that.
smallest window too, and it didn't help because sophomore year was not my year, and just even during when it's sunny outside and the weather's really nice, my room would just be dark.
Mm-hmm.
There would be no light going through it because our apartment was also right next to the garage.
Yeah.
And the garage noise, that's a whole nother thing. But, like, the garage just blocks all the sunlight.
Yeah.
I don't know. But, yeah, that was... Oh, I hated that window.
But I feel like adding personality to... I mean, the general living area, too, is important, but also your own room. Because you need to make it feel like home. Yeah. Because when you're at school and you're stressed that you know, you were in classes all day, you want to come home and, like, feel comfortable and homey. And that's why we all put our own stuff in, like, the living room. And I feel like we made it pretty homey. Yeah. I mean, it was kind of homey last year, but since we had another person, it was a little bit different. And we were kind of, I guess, nervous to do some stuff.
Extra stuff.
Because we didn't know how the other roommate would feel. But now I feel like it's a pretty good representation of all three of us. Mm-hmm. And I really like that. Yeah. What would you say your main differences are between last year and this year? Like school-wise and living-wise.
School-wise.
Personal-wise.
I'm gonna say school-wise, it's definitely better this year. Yeah. Last year was just a whole nother thing. I really did not like last year.
You mean sophomore?
Yeah. Yeah, sophomore year. Mm-hmm. I had OChem sophomore year.
Oh, yeah. Nah. I had OChem last semester. No thanks.
Yeah. I think this year school-wise was so much better. Personal-wise. I mean, I don't know. I think I'm a lot more comfortable now. I don't know. I'm losing my train of thought here.
Okay, well, you think about that. I'll talk about mine.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, so between last year and this year, honestly, for me, sophomore year school was easy for me, simply because freshman year I was an engineering major.
Oh, yeah.
And that really kicked my butt, and my GPA really felt the consequences of that, and just mentally and emotionally, because of how lonely I felt in freshman year, like, my academic life suffered from that as well, and it was just, like, a whole spiral of, like, well, I have no friends. I went literally days without talking to people in freshman year because of just, like, when I didn't see you guys, I could keep my mouth shut and not talk all day because I'm also antisocial in class. Mm-hmm. So I could just be mute. And that, I think, made me really sad. And then so I was, like, not motivated to do schoolwork. And then I also was just unhappy with my major. I'm like, I don't want to be an engineer. It's not for me. Blah, blah, blah. And so sophomore year, I was in this program called TAP, which is what people who want to do, or for people who want to switch their majors. So it's like a general studies program. So you take all your prereqs for your major that you want to switch into. Mm-hmm. And so that's what I was doing. And so I was taking pretty easy classes. And so that really boosted my GPA from the effects of freshman year. But then this year, OChem, nuh-uh. And then the events that happened last semester, like, in my personal life, I'm like, nuh-uh. So basically, junior academics have not been as great as they were freshman year or sophomore year. Sophomore year was probably the best right now. But this semester, I'm coming back.
Yes, our redemption.
For my bingo card, better studies, better, just need to be more focused on school and stuff. Yeah. But I'm not, like, losing hope. I know I can do it. It's just, stuff happens in life and it makes you, like, I used to beat myself up so much if I did something bad academically, but I learned that it's not, like, getting a bad grade in a class or on a test doesn't mean you're a bad person or doesn't mean you won't succeed in life or whatever. Yeah. I know it's a stupid saying, C's get degrees, but, like, sometimes you get a C, you won't die because you got a C. Yeah. And high school me would not believe that. Yeah. College really, really taught me that it's okay to not get all A's and it doesn't make you stupid. Yeah. Yeah.
College is, like, kind of like a joke. Compared to high school, it's kind of like a joke. Because, like, I remember all of my high school teachers being like, this won't pass in college. Like, you can't turn in a paper late in college. Like, you can't do this in college. You can't eat snacks in your lecture. Like, they say, like, stupid stuff like that. And I'm sitting here, and I'm like, my professor's like, oh, yeah, guys, so class is canceled because I simply don't feel like going to my work. Also, because of that, your paper, I'm going to give you an extra week to do it. And yeah. Like, freshman year, in my biology class was simply canceled because my professor did not make the slides. Yeah. He was like, guys, I did not come prepared for class today. There are no slides for you, so go have fun. I was like,
for what class?
Biology.
Dang.
Yeah.
So does that mean you were like one lesson behind from everybody though? Or were all his sections behind?
I think all of the sections were behind because he had nothing prepared for that day, and I don't think he was gonna prepare anything.
Did he have other classes that day?
Probably like 2 other classes. Yeah. Yeah.
Dang.
But like, that's funny. Like, high school, they're like, that won't do. And literally in college, when the professor like doesn't want to come to class or is not prepared to class, they'll just simply cancel it.
Yeah.
Like, that's like funny to me. I don't know.
Yeah, for me personally, high school was so much harder than college. Well, I'd say freshman year college was hard, but that's just because it was engineering. But I went to a medical high school, and I feel like I was so much more hard on myself in high school because I had a really nice and pretty GPA, and I took a lot of AP classes, and I felt like I was on top of the world. And so going to college, I was like, yeah, I can get all A's in every class. I did it in high school. I can do it again because the coursework was difficult in my high school. So I was like, I know I can do it. But college was, freshman year for me was just a different breed. And when I didn't get the grades I wanted, I was like, what the heck? I put in so much effort and this still happens. Am I stupid? Blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, no, I'm not stupid. College is just different. And you just have to learn to adjust and study differently. Like, tests for every class can be made differently. Some are online, some are in person, some are multiple choice, some are free response, some are a little bit of both. It's like you really have to just study specifically for your class and how the tests are made, because every class is different. If you study for one class how you study for another class, it may bite you in the butt.
Yep.
And it's really important to learn that sooner earlier than later, but you know, that's life.
Yeah. Preach, Nicole. Preach. I also think, like, for kids who were new to College Station before coming to A&M, I feel like being in a new environment also, like, hindered academic.
Yeah, being away from, like, your family, from everything you've known from your childhood, it's very, very different and difficult.
Yeah. But we make it work.
Yeah.
The parties help.
Yeah. Hanging out with friends, doing things you like to do. Definitely helps.
Well, anyway.
Oh, we forgot to talk about our highs and lows.
Oh, that's
of the
right.
day.
I have to think about mine. Okay, you know what? My high of today, we went to Cinnaholic. That was my high.
You stole mine again.
Yeah. Well, I went first. And low. Let's see. I can't think of a low.
Okay, my low is that so I worked today, and then when I came home from work, I was supposed to be productive. I was not productive. I took a nap for like 2 hours. And I woke up just feeling ultra lazy. And so I guess that's kind of my low. I mean, I like being lazy sometimes, but I just couldn't make myself do something. And so I guess that's kind of my low. But it's also the cold weather that's kind of like throwing me off and not making me want to go outside or do
That's
anything.
my low, the cold weather. I love the cold, don't get me wrong, but today was just not it.
Yeah, because the cold weather was kind of sprung on us.
Yeah.
But that's what we have hot chocolate for.
Exactly.
To make up for it.
And is your high also?
Yeah, I said you stole mine.
Oh.
Cinnaholic.
I knew you said that.
It's okay. You don't listen to me. I'm talking to myself over here.
Hey, I do listen.